Welcome to the Newsa-Cast YouTube channel. These Red Smith Banquet throwbacks are exclusive interviews of sports legends, powerful media personalities, and influential coaches. You won't find these anywhere else. Subscribe below and enjoy.
All right, Newsa-Cast, welcome to our YouTube channel. We are going to show you a throwback to the one and only Bob Gibson. Hey, Joe, if you have something to describe Bob Gibson, what would you describe him as?
Tosh, I'd say red ass.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say that on YouTube, but red ass is what I'm saying.
Well, we've talked about Nolan Ryan in the past. He was a badass. That's for sure. There's a story about Bob Gibson. Before we get you to this, that in 1975 he was facing his last final game, and a light hitting ball player by the name of Pete Lecoq, and he hit a grand slam off him, and Bob was not happy. So we fast forward several years, and they actually faced each other in an old timers game. And you know what Bob Gibson does? The first thing, he plunks him. He plunks him in the old timers game. And Bob Costas goes up to him after and he says, "Hey, what was that all about?" And Gibson goes, "The books must be balanced, Robert. The books must be balanced."
Preach.
So he never forgot anything. And he was a fantastic guest at the Red Smith banquet as well. And, absolutely hope that you enjoy this. But remember that this throwback is part of our podcast where we feature Corey Krieger this week. So please go back wherever you get your podcasts and check that out. Right, Joe?
Absolutely. Like and subscribe, iTunes, Spotify. And in the meantime, enjoy Bob Gibson at the Red Smith banquet.
It's my privilege to introduce Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson overcame serious and debilitating childhood illness, poverty, and discrimination to become one of Major League Baseball's greatest pitchers and fiercest competitors. He was a hard-throwing, fearless pitcher who was at his best when the pressure was at its most in World Series competition. In 7 consecutive starts in the World Series, he pitched complete games and won them. He pitched 8 complete games in the World Series and was MVP in the World Series 2 times. In addition to his strong arm and even stronger will to win, Bob Gibson was an exceptionally gifted athlete as well as a pitcher. He was awarded the Gold Glove for the best fielding pitcher for a Major League record 9 consecutive years. He batted over 200 as a pitcher and stroked 24 home runs. There are many who believe that as great of a pitcher as Bob Gibson was, he could have equaled that as a player in the NBA. He was an All-American basketball player at Creighton and played for the whole Harlem Globetrotters before accepting a contract with the St. Louis Cardinals. Bob Gibson was clearly the most dominant pitcher of his era. His performance in the 1968 season is unequaled in our time. He had a 1.12 earned run average, the best since 1914. He was so dominant that he caused Major League Baseball to change the rules and lower the mound so he wouldn't be so good. He was voted to the National League All-Star team 8 times. He was twice awarded the best pitcher in Major League, the Cy Young Award. He was the Major League MVP, and all of this led to his overwhelming election to the Hall of Fame in 1981. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us tonight in Appleton one of history's greatest Major League pitchers, our 2008 Red Smith winner, Bob Gibson.
Thank you. Thank you. This is really kind of a strange event for me. I just found out like 2 weeks ago that I was going to be here. And I got a letter thanking me for agreeing to come to Appleton, Wisconsin. Where's Appleton? You know, I mean, I know where Wisconsin is, and I don't know where Green Bay is in Milwaukee, but is there anything else? And there's Appleton. And I called this agent that I have, that I used to have. And I said, I got a letter from somebody in Wisconsin thanking me for agreeing to come to this banquet. Red somebody or another, Smith. And he says, well, yeah, we talked about that back in September. September? I can't remember day before yesterday. It's talking about September. So I says, okay. And I said, then now there's another problem. And he says, what's that? I said, well, I see on this the papers here that I get a nice guy award. I said, they got the wrong person. Just no way. I played for 17 years and nobody ever called me nice about anything, and I was not nice. I was talking to a guy about pitching inside and this and that. Jerry Davis is here and he knows all about that. He's an umpire. He came, and just to rub salt in the wound, he came to pick me up at the airport. What's this nice guy stuff? He says, I don't know. He says, maybe they got you mixed up with somebody else or something. I don't really know. I says, well, it's nice that they want to honor me that, and if they see me that way, maybe somebody saw me away from the ballpark. Away from the ballpark, I'm a different guy. Sometimes. But I really appreciate your asking me to come here. This is the only place I've ever been that's as cold as Omaha, Nebraska. That's where I live. And I got off the airplane, I got this big jacket on, I got a scarf, and I got everything. And I get off the airplane, and I'm, like I'm doing now, sweating. I said, where am I? He said, this is Wisconsin. I said, no. Omaha is it's colder than this. This couldn't be Wisconsin because I saw the game last week. I was watching the game. Anyway, I really appreciate your inviting me to come. And I guess I should probably talk a little bit about my career. And I think for those who don't know about my career, I was not a nice guy. Trust me. The game has changed. The game has changed. We used to be able to throw a ball in off the plate, and not necessarily throwing at guys and stuff. Let me tell you, you really don't scare guys by throwing at them. If anything else, you make them mad. To throw inside is one thing, to throw at them is another thing. And what you want to do is to make a hitter not sure whether you're going to throw inside or outside. That's the trick, to keep them guessing. And a lot of times, if they're looking outside and you throw inside, they'll hit themselves. It happens a lot of times. And then everybody's mad at you. And I really never had a problem with guys wanting to come out and beat me up and stuff. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, in a housing project. I fought every other day, and I was not afraid of a fight. So if you're going to come out, make sure you weren't just kidding. No. We got plenty of time. And once the game's over, or once the fight's over, now we got to continue the game. Anyway, tell you a little bit about my life as a professional athlete. I was more of a baseball or a basketball player than I was a baseball player. And I enjoyed the game of basketball probably 5 times as much as baseball. But I wasn't a dummy. And I got to thinking, now, in basketball, they have 10 players. Baseball, they got 25. Now, if I'm not as good as I think I am, I think I got a better chance with 25 than I do 10. So I end up playing baseball, and I really did want to play basketball, but you know, I was a little short, 6'2" or so, and well, that's short. And guys were being 7 feet and 8 feet and 9 feet. No, they're not that tall. Well, whatever it is, they're tall. And I tried to get into Indiana University, and we had a bunch of problems back in the 50s. And I applied, my coach applied, and Indiana had they had a quota. If you know what I mean. And their quota was 1. And they already had 1. And I watched their first game, and I said, guess what? They got the wrong one. Yeah. But being the scholar that I was, I decided to just go ahead and do this baseball thing, and I had a very difficult time of it. Started in 1959 in St. Louis, and we had a manager by the name of Salihemus. And Salihemus got his job by writing a letter to Anheuser-Busch, and I'm not sure who he wrote it to, but he said, I'm really smart, and I think I should manage this ball club. And so he got the job. I went, damn, I missed that one. Anyway, he ended up the manager of the team, and I found out that I wasn't in very good standings when we were in spring training in St. Petersburg, Florida, and he said, you, me, yeah, get your glove and go play shortstop. You want me to play shortstop? Oh, I know I could have. And they had a guy named Julio Gotay, and he was the shortstop. And I started to go, and I stopped, and I said, are you sure you want me? He said, yeah, goddammit, get out there. I said, well, who are you looking for, Gotay? He said, yes. And I said, I'm not Gotay. He went, oh. Well, I knew I was in trouble then. You know, I'm trying to make the team as a pitcher, and he wants me to play shortstop. Well, anyway, I made the team. I was a minor league prospect, and, you know, they tell you when you go to spring training, all we want you to do is to get into shape. Don't worry about getting guys out. Don't worry about anything. Just get into shape. Once you get into shape, we'll be able to figure it out. That's a lie. And so I'm sitting in my room. Kurt Flood was my roommate. I said, hey, roommate, they told me not to worry about getting anybody out. He says, oh, I wouldn't believe that. He said, no, I wouldn't believe that. He said, I think you'll try to get everybody out. So I went out, and I was throwing the ball like 200 miles an hour, and I was thrown in every different direction. And when you find out these major league players, they don't like it if you don't know where it's going. And so I had everybody standing back like this, and I was throwing it over there, and every once in a while I throw it back there, and I reconfirmed their thoughts that they should be here. And so I made the team without even being on the roster, which was good. Anyway, you guys know most of the stuff. I guess I know some really good stories I could tell you. One of the best ones, and I guess you guys hear it all the time, is McCarver. Tim McCarver is one of my best friends today. And Tim and I, when he first came up, he was not. Tim was from Memphis. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. And he and I had entirely different backgrounds. And he came up with really never had associating with any minorities whatsoever, except he was a minority as far as I'm concerned. and it was just kind of funny because he was like 18 or 19, and I was 22 or 23, and I was a little bit older. And I used to tease him all the time. We'd get on the bus going to play an exhibition game in spring training. And this one particular time we got on this bus, and Tim was eating an ice cream cone. I said, Tim, yeah, let me have some of that ice cream cone. He said, he looked at the ice cream cone, he looked at me, he looked back, and he says, I'll save you some. I was, oh no, by then I won't want any. Well, anyway, that's how it first started. We end up, right now, Tim and I are as close as two people could possibly be. In fact, I'll probably see him next weekend. But it was so funny, he got to catching me most of the games. And I would tease him because he's very volatile, and his temper is just, whoo. And he would get behind home plate, and he really did not have a good arm. Couldn't throw very well. As a matter of one time he threw the second, I cut it off. And, he wanted to fight. So he'd come out to the mine. Hoot, call me Hoot. 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 In case you don't know what Hoot is, anybody who has the name Gibson that plays sports, automatically their nickname Hoot, for the cowboy Hoot Gibson or somebody. I don't know. That's the way it goes. Hoot, he says, got a man on first, or he says, give me a shot at him, meaning he wanted to throw him out. And I just started laughing. What? This Tim, you can't throw him out. And then he'd curse me really, really bad. I can't even tell you what he'd say. But he'd yell at me, and I just laughed. I said, you can't throw him out. And you know it. And all it's going to do is be a waste of time. And then also, I'll be behind the guy 2-0 or what have you. And, he's still going to be down to the second. So one time, he gave me the pitch out. And, we got a man on first. He gave me the pitch out, so he'll give it a good jump on throwing the guy out going to first or second. I shook him off. You don't call a catcher, you don't shake him off with a pitch out. No. Hang on. Yeah. I went, no. And then he pointed over to the dugout. I went, no. He called time, he runs out. Now he wants to fight. Tim, you're not going to throw him out anyway, and it's a waste of time. So you hear those stories all the time about Tim coming out, and it's a true story. It really is. One time he says, we got a guy going to second, we got a guy at first and second. We got one out. No, I'm sorry, we got a guy at third and first with one out. And we're early in the game, and the play is if the ball comes back to the pitchers, let's get the double play and give them the run. So he said, Hoot! Yeah. Ball comes to you. You go to second run. I went, no. And then he cursed me, and he came out. He says, now you know that's the way to play the game. I said, Tim, we get 1 run, 2 runs at the most. I'm not going to give up an extra run. So if the ball comes to me, you look for it. He cursed me again. Anyway, it was a very interesting career that I had, especially with Tim behind home plate most of the time. But in spite of everything that happened on the field and a lot of good stuff off the field, we ended up pretty good friends, and I appreciate that. I guess I could tell you a million stories about my career, and a lot of them are funny, a lot of them are not, and most of the stories that are not, I won't bore you with, because so often you hear all of the bad things that has happened. And let me tell you, I started playing in the 50s. So 1957, 51 years ago. And the thing that has happened since 1957 to today is phenomenal. And I would love to be out there today making $13-14 million a year. That would be wonderful. But the best thing of all is when I started, and I go to spring training, I was staying in different facilities than the white players. And they expected me to perform as well as the other guys. And I love to say I perform better. And but to see that change, and I sit and just smile now. I really smile to have seen the transformation from the 50s until the 2008, 7th or 8th. And we still have a long way to go, but I guarantee you, it is really wonderful. I'm still glad to be involved. Actually, I'm glad to still be alive, but it's getting better, and I'm seeing it, and I appreciate that. Thank you for inviting me. I hope you have a nice time. Thank you.
Bob, thank you very much for your comments, and we got a little treasure to take home, a little reminder of your playing days.
Please subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when we post another great episode or interview. Download the podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for your support.